Yo, what's going on, everyone? We're back again. Another Wrestle Purist live stream, pre-Dynamite live stream, hosted by myself, Big AO, Charlie, and Mr. Joe Hulbert. Today, we're going to get into some of the latest stuff with over CM Punk, as there is, when CM Punk's around, there's always news stories, and news stories there has been the past 24 hours, even as recent as then. So, yeah, we're going to get into some CM Punk stuff, of course, as the title says, especially the plans being scrapped for his match with Kenta at Forbidden Door, and some other stuff I want to get into as well. We'll preview Dynamite. We'll talk about the young Bucks and Kenny Omega not being at Dynamite, and like I said, a lot of Dynamite talk. But first things first, please like, subscribe, super chat, turn on notifications. I always forget to say that one. Always appreciated. Hope everyone's doing good, and of course, my fellow co-hosts going to see how they're doing. Start with you, Charlie. How are you doing today?
Doing good. It's been a long day. I've spent a lot of time with my sister today because we both had to redo our hair because we've got various things coming up. Like I'm going to Forbidden Door, she's got stuff going up. So we literally spent 8 hours together just like bleaching and dyeing our hair today. So it was a lot of fun. We haven't done something like that since before I started uni. So I've had a good day. I'm excited for Dynamite.
It never ceases to amaze me the hours that girls put in on their hair. Like that specifically.
We started at 10 a.m. and I finished at 10 p.m. It was crazy.
I'll start to get shifty in the barber chair if it takes longer than 30 minutes, So
y'all like having hair?
Not really. No.
Joe shaves his off every 2 months or something. So
every time I do it, I feel a certain way about it, and Monty greets me with, "You all right, mate? Everything all right?" I'm like, "Well, trying to get your buzz going, mate."
Britney Spears, just
it resets sometimes, man. It is what it is.
Oh, I hear you, man. It's easier to deal with when it's not there, But yeah, Hulbert, I'll move it to you. How are you doing?
I'm tremendous, mate. I mean, it's feels like we say it's every week now, but it's another big week in the land of professional wrestling, and it's like I almost think this week is a great example of how spoiled we are because it feels like it hasn't set in on any of us yet, just quite what's waiting for us. I'm sure it has for Charlie because I'm sure you've been looking forward to it in a major way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely had a moment today where I realized there's this weekend, an all-time great professional wrestling treat is coming up here very shortly. So I'm in a very good mood for that reason alone, honestly. So fired up as always. And how are you, Monty? How are you, mate? Good.
I'm great, man. Like you said, big week ahead. Good stuff. Big weekend ahead. I'm looking forward to it all. Big AO, you excited for this weekend? Big Forbidden Door card, of course. We've got some legitimate dream matches. I know that phrase kind of gets thrown around every couple of weeks these days, but this Forbidden Door card is definitely being headlined by 2 legitimate matches that have been dream matches for years, So how you feeling about it, AO?
I feel good. We need more matches on the card. I don't think anybody's really trying to see Illinois Felipe versus Kojima. All respect in the world goes to Kojima. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's we do have 2 legitimate dream matches, and like we said in the past, we're playing with house money at this point. But I feel like we just need to announce something big tonight. Remind people what's coming up.
Yeah, man. Definitely. It's definitely going to be a big pay-per-view as well. So, they've gone with a different approach with the build this year around. Last year, it was all over the TV. It kind of felt forced in. There was a lot of complaints about it from a lot of people. Some people were more into it than others, I think it's safe to say. This year, it seems like they're going to do more of letting the card talk for itself. I know there's even a segment booked for tonight's Dynamite with Bryan Danielson. He's going to call out Okada, so we can pretty much assume he's going to be on the show as well, which is always going to be great to see. But they haven't really done storyline angles. It's more these 2 guys are wrestling. This is a dream match on a dream match card. Have fun with it, fans. But yeah, we'll kind of touch on that first. Joe, how do you feel about the build compared to last year as well?
You're right. It's definitely been a noticeable shift. I personally actually much prefer it. I guess the approach they'll go moving forward will be decided by what kind of buyers this does to last year, right? If there's a drop off, they'll feel like they made a misstep. I actually think it's better. This was something we talked about then, right? I said then I'd prefer you just give me match graphics and video packages. Like I don't need the New Japan roster like kind of crowbarred into AEW's TV formatting. Like I've always kind of undercut some of the guys in a weird way by like having everyone work tags and stuff. So I like it a lot more. Whether or not it's suitably kind of promoted the show or not, I think time will tell, honestly. And it's still what they do tonight in that regard. You'd imagine tonight will be a hard sell by comparison to what we've got anyway. So tonight I think they do need to hit it a little harder, but as a fan, personally, I've much preferred this year's approach, definitely.
Another factor with their approach as well this year is that they haven't been hindered with the injuries and stuff like they have, like they were last year. Tony Khan made mention of this. Forgive me for forgetting which interview exactly it was, but he was talking about it, and he's just like, we had a lot of injuries and a lot of stuff in the way last year that affected the card, and he even went out there and kind of made the bold prediction that he thinks it's going to be the best card that AEW or New Japan has ever done. So he's got the bar really high. Charlie, is your bar that high? You're going to be there out in Toronto.
I'm very excited. Yeah, I'm very excited. I feel like with the build this year, it's just like the weight of like, especially like the two big matches. They're just, you see them on paper and it's just like, do you really need to build to this? It's just going to be like really high quality wrestling. So, and like if you're invested in a show like this, you already know what you're getting into. Like, I don't really feel like there's that much need for like that much of a build. Like Joe said, like the video packages and just like giving the match graphics, like that's A-okay with me. Like, but I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be a really fun time.
Yeah, man, good stuff. You seem to be a fan of this year's build compared to last year's, and how are you feeling going into it?
I am, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm just a bigger fan of this year because the matches on paper are better, or it's genuinely a better way to build a pay-per-view. But I will say, when you have two major promotions trying to put a show together and they're on opposite sides of the country, so it's not like Sonata could just hop on a plane and be like, oh, I'm gonna make Dynamite on Wednesday and then I'm gonna make All Together again on Saturday. Like, it's just it's not gonna happen. So concessions have to be made. Like, people just have to understand that's just never gonna be like that. New Japan's not a kiddie promotion that's gonna cease everything they have going on just so their talent can get put on Wednesday nights. And nor should they have to. Like, they shouldn't have to like abide by that set of thinking and shit. So this is just it's either gonna be a shoehorn or it's gonna be like, look, we're putting on these amazing fucking matches. You could be there or not be there, but this is what's going on this day. And I think I'm fine with either approach, but I think I like this year's better.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like I said, it's definitely received less criticism. That may be because it's been less spotlighted, But I guess we'll see when the pay-per-view number comes in if it's been a success or not. As fans, obviously, the main thing we care about is if the show lives up to the expectations, especially the high bar that Tony set for it. So I'm fired up for it, man. But speaking of Forbidden Door, a match that isn't going to be on Forbidden Door is CM Punk versus KENTA. So according to Fightful Select, this was being discussed, and it seemed like wheels were in motion for that. And then KENTA tweeted on, I believe it was Saturday night after Collision, sometime around then over the weekend. CM Punk versus KENTA will never happen, and he was shooting. He was shooting, bro. So yeah, in a follow-up, Fightful Select reported KENTA and CM Punk are no longer facing each other at New Japan Forbidden Door, at least as of this past weekend. KENTA expressed to New Japan and AEW that he isn't facing CM Punk at Forbidden Door. New Japan sources had confirmed to Fightful that KENTA and CM Punk had been planned for the event, but isn't happening now. We weren't given a reason as to why. Punk was open to the match, and there were other options being evaluated for him as of Saturday. Some of those names included Satoshi Kojima, Al Fantasma, Jeff Cobb. There's a couple other names I don't think are out there, but there is names on the table, that talking about. It looks like CM Punk probably is going to be wrestling on this show. But of course, nothing's guaranteed, as this KENTA situation has proven. So we're not getting the go to sleep versus go to sleep kind of dream match. A lot of people were still kind of kind of going for that match, you know.
And
It's
shame on
definitely a
them.
match where it would have been more ideal a few years ago, but
Right.
you know, a lot of people are still fired up for this and kind of excited for it, especially Manny off the channel, of course. He was very fired up when he heard about the possibility of this. I'm sure he's heartbroken. But yeah, man, we're not getting Kenta. Kenta appears to have turned it down. We don't know why, as it says in the report. Bit of a weird one. But yeah, really weird one, Charlie. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, like, this wasn't a match that I was like personally like really looking forward to. I probably would have enjoyed it if it was on the card. I'm not really that sad that it's not. Like, but if Punk is going to be on the card, like, out of those names you listed, I'm incredibly biased. So I want El Phantasmo in there because I just want to see El
Of
Phantasmo
course you
live.
do. Of course you
Just
do.
like
True
he's
sicko.
Canadian
A
as
true
well.
sicko.
It makes sense. But
I mean,
I think they'd be able to
I
have a fun
am
match. I
an
think it'd be quite
ELP
fun.
enjoyer.
Hey, he's good, man.
Thank you.
He's
yeah,
good.
it's not that he's
That's a
not
hell
good,
of a
it's more-
spot, you know.
It's
Yeah.
not even that. It's more like the match he and Punk would have is like, I don't know if my brain just comprehended that idea.
It would be
Give me some more time.
incredibly funny. I would have the time of my life.
It would definitely be funny. I'm confident of that much. I'm not sure of anything else, but we'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, the three names that are, everyone's kind of been talking about the Kojima match all day, and everyone, that's the whisper, but of the three matches that are listed, it basically feels like they're telling you it's Kojima to me, because while it's not like, I'm not saying it's going to be a classic or anything, it's the obvious candidate for what this is now going to be, which is a 10-minute match on the undercard of Forbidden Door. Like, it has the Legends novelty and so on and so forth. So that's the pick, I think. As for the Kenta and Punk situation, it's like, I mean, it's kind of baffling in a lot of ways because we haven't even heard why he's turned it down, and it's a match he's been actively pursuing. However, I have certain rules that I live by, and when a professional wrestler acts like a weirdo, I must co-sign that, call it real grabs, which is what this is. Actively seeking a match and then immediately turn it down once it appears is as real as it gets, folks. Don't get any weirder than that. And so I respect it on that level, even if I don't really understand it on any other level. It does sound like real grabs. So there's that, I guess.
He's an interesting fella.
He is.
Ayo, I know this wasn't a match you was exactly pumped up for, but what was kind of your reaction when you found out that Kenta was just kind of like, nope, like...
I don't think you were there, Monty, but over a month ago, right? Over a month ago, we got a super chat on Unpurist, and it said that y'all hero, y'all being me and Rob, Kenta is twerking for a Punk match. Like, I know that makes y'all mad. And I told them that people who know Kenta think that he doesn't want to wrestle CM Punk, and allegedly thinks he doesn't want to wrestle CM Punk and is just trolling because he thinks it's funny. Kenta allegedly thinks Punk's a mark. He allegedly thinks Punk's disrespectful, and he has no interest in ever jobbing to him ever. So that's what I heard. I said it on Pierce over a month ago. A month later, we're here, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not trying to see CM Punk pin Kenta either. I can't cap. So, but I will say, if this did happen, it would have been one of those matches that would just be like, finally. It finally happened, so people could stop tweeting about this shit, right? Because we've been seeing this shit for like 15 years now. It would be over, but now it's always going to be one of those things that people on wrestling Twitter, what could have been? Remember Forbidden Door 2023? We were this close to finally getting Go to Sleep versus Go to Sleep. It's just going to be one of those things, but
That's such a weird reason for people to want a match for so long
that's the
as
thing.
well,
I think
people can want what they want at the end of
it.
the day. I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah. I don't think it would have been a disaster. I think it would have been fun because it would have had a great atmosphere, but it's not the most obvious stylistic matchup. I think it's fair to say on either side. And even in their prime, I think it would have been a weird matchup. They would have had a good one, obviously. Great one, maybe even. But yeah, I don't know if it would be the best way to kind of highlight either man's strengths at this point in the game. So.
If CM Punk is going to cry, and this is objective, if CM Punk is going to cry about a chop that raised a little bit and got him in the chin, he does not want to wrestle Prime Kenta. Because he was close fist punching people in their face during wrestling matches. So it's just like, it is what it is.
I will say, the idea of like Rocky Romero calling up Kenta and being like, we got it done. The match is finally here. And Kenta's like, I was just shit posting, bro. Like, I was just trying to get tweets off. Like, that's incredible
I'm sure
visual,
he's not I'm sure he's not the happiest right now, Rocky Romero, with that whole
Shit post his way
situation.
into a potential
Drop
pay
Yeah,
per
from-
view
man.
payday.
Look, obviously, as many people already know, he's like the bridge between this, and it's
Yeah.
like it probably went pretty similar to how you just hilariously explained. Like, so I'm sure he's a
To
happy guy
be a
right
fly
now.
on the wall when Kenta told Rocky, and was like, "Tell CM Punk, I said, suck my dick." Oh my god, brother! Just a moment that's going down in history. I wish I was there.
I want to see the meeting and or the internal dialogue that resulted in Jeff Cobb, Satoshi Kojima, and El Fantasmo, three wrestlers who are like the whole spectrum of stylistic professional wrestling.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Like, was that just Rocky's like notes app or some shit? Or what happened there? You know?
I feel like
I'd love
El
to.
Phantasmo is like the one that kind of makes the most sense. I would like Kojima because like that makes
Story
sense.
wise, yes, definitely.
But yeah, that makes sense because obviously with like the trios match on Collision and
Yes.
El Phantasmo's Canadian, so that one would make sense in that regard.
Getting
but-
revenge
Jeff
for the
Cobb.
Bucks.
Yeah, he teamed with the Bucks. Yeah, that's a really good point actually.
Yes, you're right. Storyline wise, that one. It's just I don't know. I don't know what kind of match those two
Jeff
had. That's a
Cobb.
very strange one for me. Yeah, Jeff
That one I
Cobb.
don't get.
Well,
He's probably just someone that we know that like, New Japan like Cobb. He usually just wavers between like how much they really like him, you know. So it don't surprise me that that his name got kind of thrown into the hat if he hasn't got one already, you know. So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how that one plays out. But I guess we can kind of still expect to see Punk on the card if they are throwing names around. It was also mentioned, I think, in the Fight for Select report that there was also it was also talked about him just kind of being on the event in some capacity, you know, like on the broadcast team or some shit, you know.
If you want
That's
me
a
to save my
throwback, you know?
$50,
Mhm.
there's no better way to make sure I pirate this pay-per-view than to put Punk on commentary.
Bold.
Him and
Alright,
Renee
so-
can do the pre-show.
Something like that, you know. They'll figure something
real
out.
throwback. Yeah.
That's basically what you can say about this story, you know. They'll figure something out for him, you know.
Yeah.
What that is, we don't know yet.
mhm.
But yeah, staying on the Punk stuff, we'll talk a little bit about the kind of like reaction to his return week, you know, because obviously there was the ESPN article and the discourse we got and the talk revolving around that started early. So, you know, it was like the whole second half of last week was basically all Punk related pretty much. So just reaction to his ESPN interview, where of course he spoke about Hangman Page and a few other things as well. And of course his promo, the whole one bill fill, the counterfeit books, the soft, the little shots and stuff that he talked in there, and just kind of his return in general. So Sean Ross Sapp in his Fight for Select report, he put that there was definitely people on both sides of things that said Punk was just getting out what he needed to get out, and others who felt like it was hypocritical to make comments about being soft. Of course, reciting the Hangman Page stuff, kind of similar to what AO was saying earlier about the Kenta thing. Like it was hypocritical for him to mention the soft thing. Right, so those that we heard from and spoke to had heard from the books and were told that they took it lightheartedly and told those that inquired that things were okay. So it seems, according to Sean Ross Sapp at least, that the books were pretty chill with it, the counterfeit books line and all the other stuff in and around that. So books seem to be playing good sports about it. But what else does it say? Punk is actively planning for this week's upcoming Dynamite, though he isn't announced as of yet. And then, but according to Meltzer, who kind of went on he went on Post Wrestling earlier, and he done like an interview, kind of like a podcast, so kind of hanging out, talking graps, with John Pollock and Brandon Firestone. And of course, the dynamic in the AW locker room came up, and with them asking Dave about it, and Dave was just basically saying that Punk needs to kind of be chill and open with everyone, and he thinks he'll probably try to be, at least with most people, but there's a lot of divisiveness. And he was talking about how it's so frustrating and how he don't think there should be divisiveness, but it's worse now than it has been. It hasn't got any better, and right now he's at a pretty bad point again, which obviously contradicts what I was just saying about Sean's report. And John Pollock then followed up and asked him if it's been since the CM Punk promo, since all this divisiveness started. And he said it's the promo on Friday, and assumably I thought he meant to say Collision, because that's how the question Pollock said, was it the promo on Friday? Is that the promo was on Saturday? But anyway, Dave in response said it was a promo on Friday. Wow, the promo and the ESPN story. Nobody was really, whatever. And then the ESPN story, which, it was the talk of the locker room on Wednesday, which led to a lot of issues. And then the promo on Saturday. And then he said he was of the impression that people were expecting worse, and it turned out to be from the ESPN article. But you still have people who were really not happy, the people who are really close to Hangman. They have the feeling that, everyone was told to keep this stuff on the inside, and if it gets out, it's not good for the company. Then one side is agreeing to do that, and the other side is not. Both sides think it's the other side talking. It's this really weird thing. Then Brandon Thurston just straight up asked him which side is which, and then he kind of said, Punk's the one who's been talking publicly, and when it comes to the ESPN story, there's a lot of people he shouldn't have gone after Page. Even if privately believed what he was saying, Page isn't going to reply to it, and the Bucks felt like because he couldn't say anything about the Bucks, because apparently he signed papers saying as much, like he can't say anything about them, that he went after Page, because obviously Page is kind of like the next, the next in line. So, like I said, kind of contradicting. So, basically, there's one report from someone who's saying the Bucks are pretty cool with it, and one that's basically saying everything. So Charlie, you're the biggest Young Bucks fan on the screen right now, I'd say. How do you think they feel about the whole situation over the weekend and stuff?
I mean, I stay out of grown men's business. I try my best to anyways. But I don't think they thought it was all that big of a deal. They wouldn't have done like the Twitter bios and saying all that sort of stuff if they did. Like they would have stayed quiet on it, because that's usually how they approach things. But it's like, I don't know. It's like they took shots in Chicago when they came back and did the trios match. Like they did their spots in the match. So like obviously they were going to expect some sort of like retaliation when Punk came back. Like I think a lot of people forgot about like the little shots they took in the Chicago match and all of that. Or they're just choosing to ignore it.
That was just playful Christian banter, all right?
Mm-hmm.
It does not compare to the disgusting words that came out of that thug's mouth on Friday, okay? I'm not going to let Monty sit here and call a person who came on the platform that we built the biggest Young Bucks fan when they came on here complimenting FTR.
I knew this was coming.
So I'm the biggest Young Bucks fan. All right. And I am objectively the most sane person here. So I will tell you how the CM Punk made an embarrassment of himself, his family, and AEW. Not only on Friday with the ESPN article, but on Saturday with the Counterfeit Bucks line. It was disgusting verbiage. There was children in the crowd. You feel me? There was children watching at home. My nephew might have been watching. He's 13 months old. How am I supposed to explain to him the disgusting things that he heard come out of Illinois Felipe's mouth? You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think the promo was good.
I don't. Well,
I just don't think we were fussed about it. This isn't my opinion, Sonny. Yours what I thought the Bucks would think. I was being objective.
I just had to get my shit off. I'm sorry.
You decided you were doing that bit. No matter what Charlie said, I was doing that bit.
Look, man, she's going to Collision on Saturday. I don't know whose side she's on. You know what I'm saying? She's been putting Punk over in secret. I wasn't gonna expose her, but Chuck's loyalty's been wavering lately.
No. There's no loyalty wavering.
Serious accusations.
I'm elite gang or don't bang. It's always been like that. I just can be objective sometimes. I don't think the promo was good, but it doesn't matter what I think when you asked about the Bucks. So
look, if there's anybody who knows about objectivity, it's me. All right.
True.
Yeah, 100%. The most objective here.
Yeah. It's your brand, brother. Objectivity.
right down the
Tremendous.
middle. Just big AO.
Big AO, facts not feelings, you know.
Yeah, man. Some people can't handle it.
It's,
The liberals. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Anyway, super chats. Darren Cage, Kojima, Lariat.
Cool.
Has it not popped up?
There is.
There he is. Beautiful. Appreciate you, Darren. Linear Harley, $2. On paper, this is a bottom 5 Dynamite lineup. We'll get to it, man. We'll
concession stand, bro. I mean, it gets me
Yeah,
up
I
there
mean,
pretty high.
yeah, man. Say 91.99. Monty and Joe need to make a run in at a Bloodline match.
Look, man, we're in VIP, not
Money
gorilla.
for the
You know,
booking.
good luck. We'll see.
Ron, $4.99. Appreciate you. Shout out to the Lawman AO. Shout out to Panty Dropper Joey Joe. Shout out to Dax from FTR for being a very big donor in my campaign.
This is the worst one yet. I truly believe that. That's good lord. Continue.
Look, man,
Brainbuster.
let it be known. Let it be known. It's been uncovered on the Wrestle Purists podcast before the fuse that Dax Harwood donated to Ron DeSantis. So tweet
Do
about
not let it be known.
Let it be known.
This horseshit.
For every Trump
This
tweet
is-
I
look
saw
at the
about the
put up,
Ocho, I need to see 3 Dax DeSantis tweets. All right.
Brainbuster, $4.99. A few weeks ago, I pitched Roddy versus Shingo for Forbidden Door, but now I hope they're one of the random teams tonight and face FTR at Forbidden Door. Let me call. No, man. Roddy and Shingo are definitely people I'd like to see on Forbidden Door in any capacity. So.
I need something from Roddy this week, man. Definitely.
There's a non-zero chance that one of these tag teams, it's Roddy and Kyle, brother.
That would be
I didn't
incredible.
even think about that. I was caught up on something else with the whole tag team thing. I didn't even think about that.
It's actually one of my main. We'll get into it later, but I actually am really interested how this, because I love that gimmick. That bit always pops for me, so I'm pretty intrigued to see what they do with it.
Right,
Good stuff.
let me investigate this super chats on the screen right now.
Good lord, having to send super chats to
What's
get these
the
things
name,
done is.
Oh, is there a new Discord link?
Yeah, there is. We had to.
There's
we
a
had to
new
shut the studio
one.
down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a new one. I'm a DM to
Okay.
Monty. Monty's gonna get it fixed.
Yeah, we'll get that fixed. Appreciate the super chat though, D Money. Very much so, and we will
Yeah,
get
thank
that
you, D-Money.
fixed, boy.
We got you. I'll put it in the chat right now for anybody who needs it, though.
Beautiful stuff. Andrew the Giant, £5. Which current AEW and WWE champions have the least obvious challenges?
Well, I think Rhea Ripley is
Yeah,
the WWE
Yeah.
one, right? Because that division is that's brutal, man. It's a real shame. AEW. I mean, honestly, it's probably the FTR, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're like
FTR
two
was going
teams.
wild, so.
There's not many heel teams. Hopefully, this tournament helps with that. But
FTR
yeah,
needs to
I would
turn
guess.
heel, bro.
Then again,
Yeah, I think they need to turn.
the trios belts though, that would probably be the default answer, right? Because there's not like they just kind of put
Yeah.
teams together, I guess.
Yeah, after you get past the Acclaimed,
Yeah.
what do we got here? What do we?
They're only like there are teams you can put. Oh, and they're doing it tonight, right? With the Jericho match. There are teams you can use to like lose a TV title match or whatever,
Yeah.
but there aren't many teams that are like that's a pay per view match.
That's
for
an
us,
actual
like,
trios, and it's like
Yeah.
we can put them against. Yeah, it's not.
not time, but one of those two, I would guess.
Alright, Murph, YouTube, 9.99. Member of Dungo Lord, being a Dungo, of course. I was just walking in Chicago, and a creepy man came behind me and tried to fight me.
Oh no!
It was Phil Brooks. Luckily, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks came and saved me, and we did an elite trigger on him. Interesting story, Murph.
Shame on
Interesting
you,
story.
Phil Brooks.
Crazy as always. Anyway, Mavs fan 84 199. Appreciate you. Perfect opponent for Kojima on Forbidden Door would be Joe.
I would
I'm
like
not
to
fighting
see
him.
that.
I'm not fighting Kojima.
All right.
You're right, actually, blame that, man.
Kojima versus Mox. Kojima
all
Mox
seriousness.
last year is a really underrated match. I need to
Yeah,
go back
Kojima's
and
still
watch it.
he can still go. I think even
Yeah.
Joe would be a really good call actually.
Red Raider Dre 999, appreciate it very much. Kenta being a grind runner doesn't surprise me, but who isn't a grind runner? Kazuchika Okada and Bryan Danielson, real wrestlers, as always. Shout out to y'all and the brand as a whole.
Shout
Shout
out to
out to
you,
you
Dre.
as well, Dre.
Not too much on the Kenta slander though. You know what I'm saying? Let the OG cook. He knows what he's doing. It's gonna be alright.
And there is the Discord link for the people who are watching this not live. And I don't know, screenshot it or some shit. I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully the link will be updated in the description sooner rather than later. So just in case. Alright. Matt Hunt, 84 again, 199. Embassy vs House of Black would be insane meathead energy.
I tell you
That'd be
something.
great.
That Brody King Toleona face off.
Oh,
Yeah.
two wild animals.
Check that quarter out, brother. Check that quarter out,
Good shit, man. Good shit. Alright, what's the next thing I wanted to get into? So we spoke about we spoke a little bit about the reaction to kind of Punk's return week.
What's your opinion on people like Ryan Nemeth just being like, shut the fuck up, Punk, on the timeline? It's
It's funny, but I just don't care enough anymore to see those tweets. I'm just just stop.
That is where that category, in fear of singling out an individual, is where I think a lot of this stuff actually comes from. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't buy for a second, and Sean said as much. And their Twitter bio, I guess you could say they would say that, but knowing we know about the Bucks, I don't buy for a second they were actively hurt by that line, because that's very much up their alley. That's the kind of pot shots they'll take, So then it's who is mad about it? And then you look at Twitter and you might find out a clue or two. That's probably who, people like that. So
a lot of people just like, yo, shut the fuck up with my friends. You know what I mean? Punk does have his fair share of beefs with people that aren't related to the elite. The whole Mox issue wasn't an elite thing. And, there's a lot of people who love Mox in the locker room, too. Maybe Dolph Ziggler sent off that tweet. Stole little brother's phone.
Maybe some smoke to that fire. I'll leave that there and we'll move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it was very interesting, kind of how Sean was like, yeah, it was pretty chill, everyone was kind of, and Dave was just like, oh, fuck,
It's a really big roster, you can talk to 20 different guys each, have very, very different perceptions.
That's what Sean said, though. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There was people on the side of it, oh, how can he be so hypocritical, blah, 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 and there was people who were just like, oh, he's just getting shit off,
there was the famous, but recently there was that Joe quote that everyone went crazy with, right, where he was like, that's for them to deal with, it's nothing to do with me. And everyone loved that, and rightly so. But there was another one where he was asked about it, and he was kind of just like, look, most of the wrestlers just want to show up and go over and have a good match. That's what most of us are concerned about. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. And it gets lost sometimes in this kind of which side are they on. A lot of guys are just saying, Collision's another 2 hours for me to get my face on TV, and I need to try and get over and make the most of this opportunity. And I'm not saying that to say the discourse and all this stuff isn't real. It is clearly real. It already is, gone crazy for the promotion. But I do think people go extreme with it, assuming that every single wrestler on the roster has a firm stance on which side of this great debate they're on. A lot of the guys don't care, man. It's a job, right? You gotta get over.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm with you. That's probably the majority of the feeling amongst most people, to be honest. But yeah, I guess this is kind of the last thing on decent and a little other tidbit, but of course, obviously, Bucks and Omega not Dynamite tonight in Chicago. This was reported by Sean Rossap first. He was saying that they've heard that Young Bucks and Kenny Omega might not be in Chicago at all, and that includes this week's Dynamite at the Wintrust Arena. But he was told that pre-tapes were done, and then Dave Meltzer followed up on this a day later and basically said as much. Kenny Omega will not be at Dynamite, and I believe the same thing was said about the Bucks as well. So they're not going to be at Dynamite. Of course, people have speculated as to why that might be. I don't know. No one seems to know at this point, at least publicly anyway. But yeah, man. Bucks and Omega not on the Dynamite before Forbidden Door. Of course, they're in one of the main storylines in the whole promotion, and Kenny Omega's going to be headlining Forbidden Door from reports. I believe that was PW Insider that said Kenny Omega and Ospreay is the talk of, in Chicago amongst AEW people, but that's going to be the main event for Forbidden Door. So, obviously, an interesting emission from Dynamite. Joe, where do you fall on the Elite kind of skipping on Dynamite this week, if that's what they're doing?
Well, from the Kenny Omega perspective, it all depends on what the pre-tape is, right? Like, because you can do a very dramatic pre-tape to send home the paper. Like, he doesn't have to be in the building to do that. And in fairness, the show ended with him getting hit by 2 hidden blades and Ospreay's finish. You could definitely do a dramatic promo in that regard. It's not. I do think it's important to note that it is not really unusual for major players to miss an episode of Dynamite, because that happens very regularly in AEW, so much that we've even talked about being a flaw of the program, right? Like the kind of inconsistency in that regard. I know the last pay-per-view go home, Kenny wasn't. Do you remember they did the deal with the Bucks where there and Kenny wasn't? And they did the angle at the end of the show, and it was kind of like, it just was what it was. With that being said, last week's closing angle was such that I think it would be wise to pick up where you left off in some ways and get those ingredients back in front of the people and piece together what happened, because there's a lot of questions coming out of last week. Now, we know that Eddie's on, right? And maybe there's a feeling of like Eddie is the main part of that story that will develop this week, him and Moxley maybe, or him and Claudio, whatever it may be. But I think in an ideal world, you would have some kind of dynamic follow-up live to what closed last week, which, I mean, we talked about on the review show, was one of the most electric closing segments in Dynamite history. I think it would make a lot of sense to try and, piece that back together in some form or fashion. But it's hard to say until we see it, right? They may do something really interesting with these pre-tapes. So we'll see, but it's definitely been interesting the way it's been reported and covered. It makes it seem like there's more to it than there may be. I don't know. So we shall see.
Yeah, I guess from the outside looking in, there's not really a good excuse why they wouldn't be on the show. And that, of course, leads to, speculation like we've been seeing the past day or so, Charlie, what do you think of, of course, Elite? As much as AO will contest this, Elite's one of your favorite acts of all time, and you're not seeing him on a wrestling show. So,
I mean, it is a bit weird that they're not on the go home show. At least Kenny, because he is part of one of the biggest matches this weekend. But I don't really see it as that much of an issue. Like, as long as the pre-tapes or whatever build to the match properly, I just feel like they don't have to be on the show for it to go well and for the build to be done this weekend. I think it's weird for the Bucks because we still don't know what they're doing this weekend, which is making me a little bit nervous. I hope they're on the show, and it would be really fucking weird if they weren't. But I genuinely feel like if this Dynamite wasn't in Chicago, it'd be so much less of an issue, and there'd be so much less speculation about it all. It's just the location that's caused all this fucking chat on Twitter again. It's it is what it is. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes people aren't on the shows. Yeah, it could be the reason. I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think there would be if they missed a go home show from North Carolina or something, it would not be that much of a thing on Twitter. I don't think. I don't really see the big deal.
Joe, what do you make of this Elite? Like I said, same question I sent to Charlie, basically.
Didn't I just did it, didn't I? Isn't he saying it? I can say it again. But...
yeah, man, I'm off the ball today.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, I never want to hear that the Dynamite's not going to feature the Elite. I never want to hear that. It's my favorite wrestling act of all time. But it's not that big of a deal. I don't think. We found out about Bullet Club versus Dudes with Attitude last year via pre-tape. So I guess them doing it, and it ended up being one of the best, most entertaining matches on the card. So 2 years in a row is not that big of a deal. But I'd rather see them doing something. We got a super chat earlier that said this is top 5 worst Dynamite ever on paper. And while I don't agree with that sentiment, I by no means think this card is strong at all. But a lot of good shows have came from not so strong match cards and shit. So I'll reserve judgment till after the show. But the Elite being advertised to do anything would have people looking at this card a little bit differently, I think.
I will say also, in terms of this week's card, it does feel like the injuries last year have kind of, to me anyway, it feels like they've kind of been careful with some of the main players,
Yeah,
right? Like in
just make
terms of
sure we
making
get
sure
to
they
the
can make it.
show.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Which
Again,
I can't
it's
blame them for after all the shit
absolutely
that
not, yeah.
happened last year.
Yeah.
for sure.
Everything they've announced so far
yeah.
has been a hit, so
Yeah,
hopefully
well, I think
that
we'll
continues.
see how this Kenny thing looks tonight on the show itself.
Yeah.
Because again, I remember the go home is probably the wrong term for it. It was just a week of TV, but the week before the cage match, they did dueling pre-tapes, right? Kenny had the one where he was in like the dark room, is very dramatic. So like it isn't totally un AEW to do it that way. It's just a matter of how it looks in action. We'll see how it goes.
Speaking of someone who will be at Dynamite tonight, Soraya. Sean Ross Sapp got ahead on that one. He reported that, but she basically confirmed as much on Twitter. So Soraya will be back. Of course, she'll be, probably out there with Tony or some shit, So yeah, Soraya's back. And did you see the quote from Tony Khan saying he still considers like doing the possibility of doing a round robin tournament, something similar to like the G1?
I don't believe him.
You just don't believe him.
I don't believe him.
Why
When has
do
Tony
you
Khan
believe
proven
him?
to us that like tournaments is something that he cares about?
Yeah.
If someone could just explain to him the spreadsheet he could make if he did a tournament,
Right,
he'd be
bro.
all in.
Mhm.
You know?
Like you would think that a spreadsheet pervert like Tony Khan would just love making tournaments, bro. But he doesn't. It's just something that he just like does to like he's just like, all right, I'll put on a tournament. I'm not saying there's any malicious intent behind the Owen at all, or that he doesn't care about the Owen or the cause behind the Owen. I'm not saying that, but I think the concept of tournaments in wrestling, he doesn't give a fuck about it.
I mean, I think there's definitely also like, I want to see who he gives it to this year and how he presents it, because part of getting these tournaments right is having like a vision as to what the win is going to mean for someone, you know?
Yeah.
And to use the Owen as an example, last year it was just his way of like giving Cole some cred back after he did a couple of jobs to Paige, right? Was the deal. And it's like, there are ways you can use a tournament that can genuinely transform a talent's trajectory. I don't need to give examples. There's some pretty obvious ones through history, right? Like, and I think that's part of it too. Is I kind of wonder if that's a strength of his. He has strengths as a booker. I don't know if he's ever been the guy who has that particular vision. I guess we'll see this year if he shows an example of it.
It would be nice to see like a tournament get announced and fans all agree that the winner of this tournament is going to have their career changed if they're not already like at the top of the card. That's not the case for any of these tournaments. Like Ricky Starks won one, he got his title match, and then it's just like he's off doing Ricky Starks shit, whatever the fuck Ricky does. And then like Adam Cole, he was already like upper mid card and shit. He already had two televised world title match, one televised world title match and another on main event in the pay per view. Then they gave him the Owen so he could have a big moment at another pay per view. They did the same thing with DMD, who was already at the top of the card but just dropped her belt and shit. So it's just like, let's I like tournaments a lot in all forms of media. So I would like to see some AEW tournaments that actually mean something.
Sure.
They've got the roster for it.
Yeah,
100%.
certainly have.
So they've got the roster for it. Even if you include people you want to be like weirdly protective over, like you can still do it. Like you could take away like the top 10 stars of AEW and still like do it. I personally would prefer it if it was kind of like an all-star thing. Of course, but like it's possible from many angles. But yeah, speaking of tournaments, we're gonna get that blind. What's it called? Blind tag team.
I don't even know
Whatever the
what
fuck
it is.
I don't know. I don't quite know what's going on there.
It has now been confirmed that tonight we're getting the draw, and it's going to basically be lethal lottery. I think TNA call it Deuces Wild because TNA. So they're going to draw names out of a hat, it seems like, and put together some teams, which is always a quirky bit. WCW used to do it back in the day with Battle Bowl, and I was saying to someone earlier, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this, chat may know or may not, probably not, honestly, at this point. It's been a long time, but I think TNA like legitimately stumbled into beer money by doing this. Like legitimately, I think that was like just like, we'll do that on TV for a month, and then they became a team. And I think we all agree the tag division could use some fresh teams, and there are certainly some guys who are not doing much who could be put in teams. So I'm like quietly kind of pumped for this just because I'm intrigued by the concept. It may fucking suck. I mean, we haven't seen teams, right? But that's what it is, as far as I know. So yeah.
Yeah.
A proper comprehensive breakdown of what we're about to see tonight.
Apparently, yeah.
We love to see we got professionals on these
Me,
podcasts.
me just saying, beer money. That's what I think, and leaving it at that.
Good shit, bro. Good shit.
I just love tag team wrestling, so I hope this adds something to the division, and I want to see some actual like fun, unexpected pairings rather than just like you can kind of see why they put these guys together for this. It'd be like I just want it to be as random as possible.
Yes,
like I want it to be fun.
That's that they're gonna do. They're gonna do the deal where the rivals team up because you have to do. It's the rule. If you're gonna do one of these, you have to do one of those. But you definitely need like I tweeted earlier about wanting Roddy to have a team, and someone quoted me and was like, Roddy and Bandito, and I was like, whoa. That sounds like a science experiment, That sounds insane. Some people were saying Roddy and Archer, which is fucking insane, and it's like weird, like those kind of weird dynamics. So I'm with you completely. It could be very fun. We'll see who's in. I guess the question is who's in the draw. I guess will be pivotal to this. We'll see.
I know I just said that I want it to be random, but also if they use this as an excuse to put Ricky and Will Hobbs back together, I also wouldn't say no to that. So,
indeed, yeah, I think there's going to be something in that way. I know some folks have been speculating about. Sean Rossap earlier said that he thought Santana was going to be at Collision, and I know Santana is hyping like July 7th or something for his next vignette. So this is unlikely, but even like, could you imagine they drew Ortiz out of the hat? And the next name was Santana. Like that would be a cool moment in itself. So there's some room to do these things.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of you can kind of get random and weird, and then you can get creative, and you can use it to advance certain storylines or start certain storylines. So we'll see what Tony does with this open book. Elsewhere on Dynamite, we have Bryan Danielson calling out Okada, like I mentioned earlier. Of course, probably going to get Okada on Dynamite. Always a good thing. This is more just kind of a hope they get the presentation really great and they have like a little bit of a like a good back and forth, whether that's like however they decide to do it. I just want it to feel big, Ayo, where you at on Danielson calling out Okada? What direction do you want this to go in?
I know people didn't love how Okada came to AEW, came to Dynamite last year. I was just fucking happy to see because you got Okada on AEW television. So like I didn't care too much. Just make him feel like the megastar he is. And I don't know how they're gonna do that. He speaks English. It's not really TV promo like back and forth level of English, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I want to see what they're cooking though. Let's get that pole part brawl going. Let them to heal it up.
Joe, you got any creative pitches for how this could go down? Interesting one,
really is as a live segment, not really. The appeal of this is really just the graphic itself, which is just like an incredible visual, right? And it's like there's a novelty to it, but I mean it's gonna be pretty limited what you can do live. I will say I would really like them for matches like this to do like fake press conferences, not as a single event, but to clip up for TV. Like you could put together a little press conference video package that could be like 5 minutes of these guys talking shit. And I think Okada would be more, for obvious reasons, be more suited to that. And to be clear, when I say I don't necessarily mean as like, when WWE does those ones separately, I'm kind of like, but to doing it as part of your TV show, I think it's pretty cute. So I think they'd be encouraged, well suited to try and get more creative for these. But ultimately, I mean, AO said it right. Like, you're going to see Okada on their TV show, which like there is an appeal to that, even if he's going to just stand there and probably do his pose. It is what it is, right? I mean, you want to kind of get him in front of people, and I get it. So it's just a stop before the big match.
They did that press conference I did with Mox and Kojima last year. And it was like, I don't remember how long it was, but the full thing was on YouTube and they cut it up and put it on TV too. And people really liked that. I remember like people enjoyed that segment a lot. So that is something that they could do.
Yeah, I think you could present that because it has to be for the right match, right? And it's like, this is as close as wrestling can get to like a big prize fight, basically, because it's this kind of dream match. It's like this super fight, basically, right? And it's like, you could have some New Japan representatives on Okada's side and AEW. I mean, I definitely think there's a lot of different things you can do in presentation that aren't necessarily live. The issue with that is, quite frankly, the crowd that's in attendance wants to hear the Rainmaker music, right? They want to hear the coin drop. So it's like, that's always the kind of balancing act you have to do.
Yeah, interesting one. Charlie, you excited for this though? Regardless of being quite hard to predict how it goes.
Yeah, I honestly don't really care what the segment is. I'm just excited to see Okada on Dynamite. I'm very simple when it comes to things like this. Like, you put them in front of me, I'm just like, okay, this is good. So
Yes.
I'm excited.
It's all it needs to be when you've got something this big going on,
Yeah.
Right, elsewhere, we'll hear from Eddie Kingston. Of course, he made his big return last week at the end of Dynamite in that very dramatic, great ending to the show. Hulbert, where do you think Kingston is going with this one, mate?
Well, firstly, the big man is back. That's important to note.
Yes.
I think he's going to call out Claudio Castagnoli and get John Moxley, who is going to confront him about breaking the promise that he would not go after Claudio in AEW. And then we're going to have a situation, because I don't think you want to go the whole way yet, but in the next couple of weeks, Moxley's going to beat the shit out of Eddie Kingston. And it's going to be the first time he gets like truly the heel reaction he's been looking for.
Yeah.
Because people love King, right? And it's like, so I think here you tease that face to face the way they were last week, and then you need to, someone else is going to come out, I would assume, to kind of introduce a dynamic. One thing I think could be interesting is the idea of Moxley and Eddie being forced to team this weekend at Forbidden Door in one of those all-star scenarios. Last year, of course, Eddie was with Shota and with Yuta, right? He was kind of like the step-in Moxley in that case.
Yeah.
He was like their uncle, I think was what people were saying online, right? So there's a few different things you could do with that. Eddie's going to get killed at some point by John, but tonight I think we're going to have a big segment in terms of where these guys stand, where their friendship stands, and that's going to be great TV. That's what we get. I mean, lest we forget, November 2020, October 20, whenever it was, that segment they did to build up their pay-per-view match is one of the greatest AEW segments ever, the head-to-head segment.
Yeah.
An absolute masterpiece in promo. So if we get any kind of direction, I'm excited. But regardless of my fantasy booking, it's Eddie Kingston, Eddie Kingston being back on TV is like genuinely a treat for those of us that have missed it. I genuinely think the show has missed him. So I'm thrilled to have him back.
Yeah, good shit, man. Charlie, you missed Eddie Kingston?
Oh, absolutely. I love Eddie, man. And I'm really excited to see him back on Dynamite. And Eddie with a live mic, it's like you never really know what he's going to say. So it's like really excited to see him talk like all the time, because you just don't know what to expect. But I don't know. I think Joe could be right with he's going to try and call out Claudio, but he is going to get Mox, and there's going to be a lot of tension. And Mox is going to be like, why were you like kind of siding with the Elite last week? Like, what's going on with that? Like, we tried to beat the Bucks for the tag belts in like 2021. So like, what's going on? I think there's going to be some fun callbacks, and it's just going to be a good time. I'm excited.
Good shit. Ayo, looking forward to Eddie Kingston addressing his enemies.
Fucking love Eddie Kingston. TV's just better with Eddie back. He has to leave soon for the G1, unfortunately. To go back to Joe's point, Mox is gonna beat the shit out of him. The next ROH pay-per-view is during the G1, so he's leaving before that. I'm not sure when they're gonna beat him down. I assume they're gonna get the Claudio program started, and then Mox is gonna help Claudio or something like that. I don't know. But I'm glad he's back. He has to leave soon, unfortunately, but luckily for me, I love New Japan, so I will be watching his matches.
Yes.
And, man, I'm excited Kingston's back.
It feels like he's probably going to go a couple weeks before the G1 even, right? Because he's working that Kenta match on the 5th. The 4th and the 5th, he's working New Japan too at Korakuen Hall, right? So, like, you probably, rather than having him come back for 1 week in the middle, I know he's not going to live in Japan, but my point is that TV-wise, you're probably going to see that as his, like, send-off point, I would guess. So, it'll be interesting. There was a point where it felt obvious he was going to beat Claudio for the Ring of Honor belt. I now feel like things have changed enough that he may be getting another shot at the AEW belt at some point later this year. So that'll be navigating that's going to be interesting because Eddie's lost a lot of title matches, right? So I'm intrigued to see what they do with him this year for sure.
Could go on a total charge, Joe. You know,
Maybe, Len.
Yeah.
I think he might be beating Kenta for that fucking strong open weight belt. I mean, if that's
It's a
the belt they're
start.
going to use, yeah, like if you want to use that belt to sell tickets in America, like I guess, right? You can do that.
Mm.
We'll see.
Allegedly, New Japan is mad at Kenta for this
Mhm.
whole little trolling bit. So, if that's true, yeah, that belt's coming off of him. And who better to put it on than Kingston, man? He's worked a ton of New Japan dates at this point. He was all over Strong during the pandemic. They have a good relationship with him. Of course, they do. They wouldn't bring him over to the G1 and for those. What's that American themed pay per view that they're doing? What is that shit called?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. The one that has got the whole like Great American Bash logo. Yeah. That's the one.
Hurricane. I'm like,
That's the one I was referencing. Yes, that's what it is.
Oh,
I mean,
I saw Max
they obviously
graphics.
care about their American presence. So yeah, who better to put that belt on than Kingston?
Well, thus far, they're doing these US shows, these like monthly pay-per-view kind of deals, and it's like, you know, bless Kenta, but the belt is never closing the show. It wasn't closing the show when Fred had it. It's not closing.
Yeah.
And so you would think if Eddie had it, you could absolutely main event a strong pay-per-view of Eddie versus, insert New Japan, like even mid-card guy, because he's a big enough name in the States. So I would assume they want to get the belt to where you can close New Japan strong shows is my point. So we shall see.
Yeah, definitely. I guess that was definitely the vision they had for it when they created it. So, weird start, as you just mentioned, but if you can get that belt on Eddie, then... But yeah, man, excited to see him tonight. A couple of super chats. Keep them coming. Always appreciate. Pylons, $5. Haven't been able to listen to most of the pods since it was announced. What's your guys' take on Sonada's match for Forbidden Door? Yeah, mate, it's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it makes sense.
It will be fun.
Yeah, you're advancing
thinking
Jack's
that,
story, right?
People think that TK was going to send Mox out there to get pinned by Sonata. You were smoking cock, my good friend. That was never going to happen. It was never going to be Mox. It was never going to be a Mox level talent. Not even somebody. I don't even think TK would love to see Adam Cole pinned by Sonata. So that just wasn't going to happen. Put a young guy who you have a lot of stock in. Put him in a big spot. Let him shine, bro.
And it makes sense with Jack Perry's story right now because his whole thing is he's getting desperate to win a belt, and this is just another title opportunity that he's going to lose. So I'm assuming it would be wild if he beats Sonata. That would be insane.
Do you think he turns on Sunday? Do you think they do the deal where Hook tries to console him and he beats Shevin?
I hope not. But he made the whole big deal of, are you going to be in my corner sort of thing. Yeah. So he's going to be
like Hook's catching a concerto.
The idea of Jack.
I don't want him to yet.
He's catching a concerto.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that. But the idea of Jack winning the FTW title and being like, finally, I've won the big one. That's fucking awesome.
That's great. That's definitely something that Christian would do, bro. Like that's something that Christian would do if 25-year-old Christian was in fucking AEW. So I need it. I need FTW champion Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Yeah. Appreciate your pylons as always. Lamora, $5. Hope you're all doing well. Do you think TK can get Scorpio Sky over again? He's a good wrestler, but hasn't seemed to be connecting since the SCU days. But they had like a moment when he beat Sammy for the belt the second time.
That little double turn.
Because people were so just mad at Sammy at that time. But him winning the belt again actually really got over in the building. So it felt like they had something for a sec.
They turned now, immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say, now in 2023, I don't know, man. I mean, they can try.
Short answer, no. Long answer, no.
I will say, I completely agree with the conclusion, but I do think he could be in a team, right?
Yeah, he could be in a team, in a tag or a trio.
Yeah,
to get over
he's not going to be
as a singles act. No, he's not. I
think there's a role for him to play. I do not think that role is I am actually the future of AEW. I think that's going to crack it, unfortunately.
That's very funny.
I mean, it comes out in the chat, but the Men of the Year were a fine tag team.
Man. Save me from Matt Hardy's contract. Tom contract tinkering, you know. It's
Because Ego's a really good tag
I don't think
wrestler.
Scorpio Sky is a bad wrestler at all.
No.
No, I like
not.
Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad
He's-
wrestler, but it's just
Fundamentally, he's really good.
Yeah.
He's never, he doesn't jump off the page, right? Like in terms of personality and such. And more than anything else, it's just, at this point, the booking has got him to a point where most people are like, whatever, they've moved on.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge, honestly.
Yeah, it's like the it's like what the super chat says. Like he's just not connecting, you know.
Yeah.
But he's been gone for a while, so he might get a nice little reception when he comes back,
think
and
people
it's
will
like
be
how
happy to
you
see
go
him back.
from there, you know. See where it goes. Andrew the Giant, £5. Appreciate you. Maybe we don't know what the Bucks and Punk are doing because they're going to team in this flying tournament. Matt Jackson and Punk. Whew.
Jesus Christ.
You know,
That'd be
That's like the
rude.
most unlikely pairing out of all of them, you know. Like
Someone
Punk and Matt
did,
Jackson or Punk and Page, you know.
Someone in a chat said Claudio and Nick Jackson. I was just like, that would be the biggest bit ever. At that point, I know it's a bit because
at that
it
point,
would
TK
just,
is like trolling you specifically.
yes, that would be. It would be hilarious. I think it'd actually be a really fun tag team, but it's a bit at this point. I'm not over it. I want that match, and it's never gonna happen. But
We need it, man. We won't need to start a petition like Joe, you know.
That
Griff,
worked.
Griff, 199. Swerve and Fox being drawn as a team would be beast.
That's
Yeah.
sweet, yeah.
But I would like to see Swerve get pushed as a singles right now.
Well, you know, he's I can't believe they didn't put the international title on him, man. Like, I know they've obviously, like Charlie predicted before it happened, like, the only way Orange wins is if they've got something big planned for him at Forbidden Door, which it seems like they clearly have. But even still, man, I
I have to ask. I'm not really bothered, but I'm going to ask. I'm going to just spray it out there. I know, like, no one really watches Ring of Honor TV, but, like, they did, like, a month's build to this Zack Sabre Jr. Samoa Joe match. And, like, are we ever going to do that match? Or is that just kind of like,
bro?
like,
What is going on?
I definitely watched, like, multiple episodes of TV building to that match. And, it doesn't appear we're getting that match, so I don't know.
maybe
Again,
they're
I don't-
saving it for the pay-per-view.
But then Zack's in the G1, so even that's
Oh
like
shit! Yeah, no, that doesn't.
it's
work.
really. And again, I mean, it's not the most obvious matchup. So it's not like a huge miss. I think Orange and Zack is a better choice, but it is kind of weird.
You know what the thing is, right? It's just Punk bad, bro. Because bad it's Punk bad.
Wait a minute.
It's Punk bad. Follow me here. When they were taping the beginning of this feud, right? Everything was pointing towards Punk Jericho. Jericho thought the match was happening. The Sheets thought the match was happening. Fans thought the match was happening. It got closer. You know, they filmed this. They had to air it because it's what they filmed. But we got closer and closer. And Punk was like, I'm not fucking working Chris Jericho. Get this shit out of my face. And then they had to pivot somewhere. They pivoted to Joe. And it's just like, hey, man, ROH, you're assed out.
I will say, if there is one part of your theory that is impossible to argue that Ring of Honor TV has proven is they filmed it, they've got to air it because that's been proven beyond any doubt with Ring of Honor TV. So yeah, maybe so.
19 match card.
Yeah. Have you seen these? I don't want to be spiteful, but have you seen these Tony Khan Stokely Hathaway segments they're doing?
No.
I need to watch them.
Bro,
I need to.
Let me tell you something, folks.
Bro,
I've seen some stuff.
I need to watch them.
Putting
Based on
Stoke in
that
as the authority
reaction.
figure so that you can debate him is fucking incredible. I have to respect it. It's insane. They're like, just argue about what they're going to. Anyway, like, go on, money. Go.
just
There's some weird
Point
shit
it.
going on in Ring of Honor, man.
weird.
Yeah, weird shit.
All right. This is one for you, Big Ale. 199 from Ricky Starks.
Bro, is my mic blown out?
What? What's up?
Richard Starks, $2 super chat. Big AO, you gotta announce the Zaddy. We can't hear you. Damn, is my mic's fucked? Can
Yeah,
y'all
you've been a little quiet. But,
Slightly low, yeah.
Ah, shit. I gotta get it.
excuse me, people. All right, back to Dynamite, man. Back to Dynamite. We're also gonna hear from Adam Cole, Adam Cole, of
Good
course, he didn't. He went to a time limit draw with MJF last week in a great match. Definitely exceeded a lot of people's expectations. It was really good. Of course, like I just said, it went to a time limit draw. And, Adam Cole, he asked for the extra 5 minutes. MJF, of course, being the heel champ, he just kind of slid out of there and was like, nope, So, yeah, this week we're getting kind of follow up to that, I guess. And, yeah, we'll see what he's got to say. Of course, it will probably be some MJF related stuff. We'll see if they do anything Forbidden Door related with him. Do you think they will do anything Forbidden Door related with him? I'll start with you, Charlie.
I had half a thought earlier, and I was like, I don't really know if I want to see this because it'd be a really weird way to go about it. But people were like talking about, oh, if MJF no shows the Tanahashi match, maybe Punk will step in. And then they announced like this Adam Cole segment, and I was just like, he's not gonna ask into this title match, right? Like, this isn't gonna be what we end up with.
In the most polite way possible. I sure hope not.
Yeah, like me too. I don't want to see
That's quite
this.
polite for you as well.
Yeah.
That's
And
quite
then
polite.
people
I
were
don't know how
putting
you
up,
feel
like-
about that.
And then people were pulling up like old Adam Cole tweets of him praising Punk and that. I was just like, they're not going to make this a fatal four-way. Like, this is just a bunch of things that don't connect, hopefully. And we don't see this happen. But if it does, this is one of my crazier predictions. I will say that. Not that I'm predicting anything. These are just things that I've seen on Twitter the last couple of days floating around. But I hope that Adam Cole just kind of like calls him out for like a future thing. And it's not to do with Forbidden Door, because that would just be strange. And I don't really want to see that match end up as a triple threat or a four-way. Yeah, I don't know when they're going to have a rematch. They probably will. But
Well, back when AEW was a proper promotion, a champion would beat a babyface that everybody's behind, and then the babyface would say, or maybe even the heel would say, look, I got to climb the rankings. I'm going to get these matches in. It was a good way to get them on TV every week. Get people behind them. They're trying to climb the rankings to get back to the champion. But, unfortunately, CM Punk bad. Bro, he got rid of the rankings, so we can't use that as a story device anymore. So I don't know where they're going to go with this whole Adam Cole thing. You know? I don't know, but I loved that match. It's one of my favorite Adam Cole matches in all of AEW. I'm excited for the rematch. I just don't know when that's going to happen.
Joe, do you think Adam Cole makes it onto the Forbidden Door card? And if so, what do you think he would be doing?
I don't know, but I have news. Andrade Idolo has done a tweet.
Again.
He quote tweeted the account All Elite report regarding the divisiveness that Dave Meltzer referenced and said, and I quote, "The locker room was amazing. This is BSH AEW Collision." So there you go, folks. An update here live from Bing Bong Corner. I believe BSH is bullshit.
I need to steal the late night green gimmick of the breaking news.
Yeah,
the breaking news thing. You know,
anyone-
I can't believe I've still not done that because I've wanted one since we started the channel.
Very good.
The channel's been here for like 14 months or some shit now. And,
my reaction to that tweet, Andrade, is I don't believe you.
Well,
you're a piece of shit.
BSH was pretty bold, man. I don't know. To answer your question, so I guess we've completely cut the ties with the Bucks because they did that segment where the Undisputed Era beat them up, right? Because otherwise, that would be kind of a cool deal, you know, putting them back together for a multi-man with Cole and Hank. Because it feels like Forbidden Door is going to feature the Bucks. It'll be with Hangman. Mm-hmm. You know, working Cole into that for a big 8-man tag could be pretty neat. But I guess those ties are completely severed at this point. So maybe, just maybe, he's going to be in a 6-man tag with his friend Roderick Strong and a potential Canadian who AO mentioned earlier. Maybe, just maybe.
That would be real gross.
That'd be really cool, right? Like Cole, Roddy, and a mystery man, and it's one of those mysteries where everyone kind of knows, but you're waiting for that music to. That's some of the best stuff. So maybe something like that.
I would like to see it.
Yeah,
I'm a big Kyle O'Reilly fan.
It'd be really cool for him to get that moment. You'll get a huge reaction in Canada, especially.
Yeah,
absolutely. Bear with me. I've lost the post now. Found it again. All right. Where do I want to go next? Chris Statlander defends the TBS title against Taya Valkyrie. Of course, this is had a bit of a weird build of Taya feeling like she deserves a title shot because she just lost a title match, which then led to another match that Jay Cargill had in an open challenge sort of fashion, which, of course, was the reintroduction of Chris Statlander coming back from injury, and that's how she won the title. So a bit weird, but I think Taya's been like kind of good in like the backstage segments and stuff. Like, she's very comfortable on TV, and I think she's made a pretty decent account of herself in the time in AEW. I'm not trying to see her win the title from Chris Statlander, of course, right now. I think it's another decent match for Chris at this point. One of the first matches back. We'll see how it goes. Chris might be able to get something pretty good out of this, and go carry on momentum for her. Charlie, where are you at with this one?
Yeah, I think that Taya had a really solid match with Jade on like the Double or Nothing card. It was actually one of my more favorite moments up to that point in the show. So I think that her and Chris working together is going to be good. The build was interesting. I mean, I skipped a few rampages here and there, so I didn't see a lot of it. But I think this will be alright. It'll be a good bit of business on TV.
Yeah, Joe, you expecting Chris to look good in this one, Taya to look good in this one? What you kind of expecting to see in this?
Well, in fear of being dramatic,
go on.
This feels like a really important match for Taya because I actually agree. I thought her matches with Jade over-delivered. But on the whole, in terms of her run in ring, I think she needs to have a good performance here. She's not going to win, right? And again, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I think we've seen already with Chris's reign that she's actually capable of bringing people up. I think Anna had her best match in a long time with Chris. And with Taya's experience, they should really have a good match. Hopefully they do have one, because I think how Taya fares here, I think will kind of decide where she goes next in terms of, do you keep her in the thick of things as like a big time player? Do you put her in, the main programs? Or does she kind of move to being a full on kind of role player? I think this match will go a long way to deciding that. I'm pretty optimistic this thing's going to be good. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be a clash or anything. I think it's going to be positioned that way anyway, even if they were capable of it. But I think it's going to be a physical match, and I think this is a chance to really be a fun time. So hopefully so.
Yeah, well put, Mr. Hulbert.
I'm pretty good at
professional.
This one,
yeah, you are, man. You are. Ayo, you got anything you want to add on it on this one?
I like Taya. I don't think all of her matches have been hit, but I did really like the Jade match. I think I told people going in, I gave that match a chance. I was glad I was proved correct. I hope she sticks around on television after this match, or like to Joe's point, she needs to have a really good showing. Maybe they have a spot in the Outcast for her after this match. I think they're really pushing for that women's blood and guts match. The talent are, if that's not been officially booked, you see the talent pushing for it on Twitter, in the media and shit. So Ty would be a great worker to have in there and shit. And then maybe put Jade on the AEW original side. She's taking a couple months off, but I think it's been widely reported she's coming back as a babyface. So we could do that.
Man, that would be a moment, right? The baby faces are outnumbered. Somehow you maneuver. Maybe you put Athena with Outcast just for that one match. She's kind of recruited, and they're outnumbered for a second, and Jade's music hits. That would be a moment. I think the people would go crazy for that. Actually, that's an interesting one for sure.
Good shit, man. We'll see where it goes. Where else do I want to go with this one? Orange Cassidy and Shibata versus Daniel Garcia and ZSJ. Good shit, man. This will be a fun. This will be a fun one. I see my fellow Brits at the bottom of the screen nodding their heads in approval with this one. Joe, you seem very happy about this one, mate.
This is as good as it gets, mate. Real music will be played. This match alone, to me, makes Dynamite worthwhile. This is such a cool match. It's such a weird match, like all professional wrestling tag matches should be at some level. If you're not going to give me the best teams as well, give me some weirdness. They're giving me a lot of weirdness. They're giving me some of the best wrestlers in the world. So I love this. Garcia and Zach are going to be hysterical together. There are a lot of professional wrestlers who we are polite enough to pretend are funny, but are actually not. here we have two of the very short list of fellas that are actually funny.
Genuinely funny.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you saw it in the pre-tape last week. There is going to be a knowing acknowledgement in that regard, and you just know Garcia is going to be dancing, and Zach is going to be feeling a certain kind of way about it. I mean, this is going to be a great, great time. Really entertaining TV, I'd imagine. So a lot to like here. This is the match that most stands out for me by like a mile tonight. I'm really excited for this.
Charlie, excited?
Yes. I'm very excited about it. It's like when they first teased it, I think I said it on the like the post show on the Thursday. I was just like, I really hope they actually do this tag match, because like this is the sort of thing I'd want out of a Forbidden Door build. Just give me the random shit like this, like matches you would never see outside of like a build, like outside of builds of stuff like this. So I'm really excited for it. I think like the dynamic between Danny and Zach's gonna be just one of the best things on the show, honestly. And like seeing Shibata wrestle like anytime is like just incredible, and seeing him like still having this like running thread with Orange Cassidy that's been going since last Forbidden Door. So like that's been like something that's been semi-consistent every time he shows up on AEW. So I'm just really excited about it. I really like tag team wrestling, and this is one of those matches. It's just like this is going to be a good one. I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Ayo, fired up for this one.
Fired up, brother. It's funny how much Shibata loves Orange Cassidy. Like, because everybody says it's like, oh, Shibata, like he handpicked Orange Cassidy for his return match and shit. Now he's tagging with him, and just like Chuck said, the running thread of it. He came out to save him, handpicked him for a return match, and now he's tag teaming with him. DG gave him and his Sabre Jr.'s tag team the name of Sports Intertechers. There's gonna be some hilarious dynamics there. I think Danny's gonna be able to get Zach to dance, man. I think he's gonna dance. I need to see it. The streets need to see it. It's something that we need that could only be provided in this great sport of professional wrestling. This match alone is enough to make me tune into Dynamite, which is why I don't know how people like we're getting this, we're getting Suzuki teaming up with fucking the Spanish guy, Sammy Guevara. Like, what else do you want out of professional wrestling? You know what I mean, Monty?
Oh yeah, we'll move to that one next, man. We got Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Minoru Suzuki versus Action Andretti, Darius Martin, and AR Fox. Another one, man. Another fun tag, you know. Weird, you know. Suzuki in there with Sammy and Jericho. Like it's good time, man. What are you expecting from this one, Hulbert?
I don't know. Suzuki opposite all three of these fellas is funny on some level, some more than others. I mean, they like playing the music one after the other with Suzuki and Jericho, right? They enjoyed that last year. They'll enjoy it again here. Sammy, I think, is going to have to do a lot of the work in terms of basing for some of the fellas opposite them. I think it goes without saying.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure Jericho will ignore what I just said and try and do it anyway, but we'll see. I'm not sure this will be a particularly good professional wrestling match, but it will be an atmosphere because of the entrances alone, and it's Minoru Suzuki, who always is a superstar live. So, slightly weird match, but as I just said, I'm here for weirdness in this season, especially. So, the kind of match that in 10 years, a sicko like myself will scroll Cage match and go, well, hold on a second. When did AR Fox lock him up with Minoru Suzuki, you know? Yeah, sometimes you need to do that for the wrestling fans.
Run a grin along for that one.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
Good shit, man. Good shit. Ayo, you're obviously fired up for this one. Yeah, man. So you are definitely a believer in the Spanish God.
Yeah, man.
You're excited to see. He's definitely, like Joe mentioned, he's probably going to take like a big chunk of this match. You're excited to see him kind of just show out, really.
He's gonna get his shit in. He always does. Errol Fox always gets his shit in. You know, Action Andretti, for better or worse, always gets his shit in. I like Andretti.
Yeah.
I think Darius Martin is extremely talented for his age. It's just the whole injuries thing that's holding back him and his brother. They might have been fucking AEW World Tag Team Champions by now. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see this. I'm excited to see a bunch of people just flip around Suzuki and then he just chops the fuck out of him. It's gonna be good shit, you know. The Ocho,
good shit, man.
Just a much better wrestler than CM Punk. So it's just
you
can't go wrong in this match.
All right. In an interesting one, keeping it interesting, we have the Hardys versus
No
the
fucking
Guns.
brother.
Yeah.
The best brothers in AEW. We're gonna find out who they are tonight. You know, on AEW Dynamite. Tune in. Jeff Hardy is back in his first. I believe it's his first live match in front of people. Is that wrong? I could be wrong.
He was on the pre-show for
Pre-show,
the
yeah.
Raw bit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh, of course, with the
It-
Yeah.
That was
Indeed.
unfortunate.
Oh,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, this is just really interesting because the Hardys, you know, like, we both know that they're past their physical primes, to say the least. You know, like, they kind of look like they're in pain out there sometimes, a lot of the time, all the time. It's so like you want someone that can kind of just like easily get them through a pretty decent match, like they tried it with the Young Bucks, you know what I mean, and or someone to that effect, like someone that experienced.
Yeah.
Like obviously there isn't another team like the Young Bucks. I'm not saying like, you know, you have to find someone of that caliber, but at least of that experience level that knows how to kind of, you know, get through these matches. The Guns, you know, they're still kind of finding their feet in ring themselves, you know. So like these could be really interesting.
Monty, bro, if you asked me to put together as many different combinations of tag teams, like matches, as humanly possible in AEW, there would be 10 million combinations before I got to Matt and Jeff Hardy versus the Guns. Bro, who is this match for? Dax and Cash, you will pay for your sins because you guys keep getting the Guns put on television, right? I didn't mind when Rampage was Matt Hardy's Playhouse. I like Matt Hardy a lot. I'm not really trying to see him wrestle in 2023. But, you know, let him have his fun on Rampage, bro. I'm just not going to catch it. You feel me? Why is this on Dynamite?
I don't know, man.
To be fair,
this,
that does
bro?
feel like the question, though. Like, it is a really strange choice for. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. The Guns thing is tough. They just don't seem to be any good, do they? People that know a lot more about wrestling than me are convinced they're going to be a really. And I swear, I've tried. I've really tried.
Don't really see it that much.
No, it's weird. Like, clearly the promotion likes them, right? Like, genuinely, they clearly see something in the Guns.
Yeah.
And I've tried. I've squinted. I've looked. They're good characters. They're decent, but their timing and stuff is just. It seems so. So the concern is, as you said, Monty. I mean, the Hardys need to be in there with guys who can really assist them at this point and help them out and make it a smooth ride. Well, let me be clear, folks. I'd like nothing more than to come on here tomorrow on our review show and say that it was good. I mean, I'll believe it when I see it, but I think this is a very puzzling choice, especially for Dynamite. It's a really strange choice for Dynamite, but. Maybe it'll be good, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm honestly just kind of hoping that there's shenanigans and the match goes like 5 minutes and something happens.
I think, yeah.
Like,
I'm
that's
just hoping it's
like best case, I think. Because I don't want to see them going 12 minutes in like a worked match and like building a heat segment. I don't want any of that out of this tag team duo.
Why if they not try? I don't know, like. Nah, that's nah.
I honestly believe, I'm not just saying this so I don't have to watch them anymore. I honestly believe it would be best for all parties involved if the Guns took a trip to Orlando. I think they get over fucking that warehouse.
I actually agree.
I think they would, you know, get additional training that they need. It's not working out for me, brother. It's just not.
It's an interesting one. But before we run out of time, we've got the last thing I wanted to save till last. We've got Jeff Jarrett versus Mark Briscoe in a concession stand brawl. This is that real shit, bro. You know, Jeff Jarrett said on a podcast or some form of interview this week that if he loses this, we'll never see him on AEW again, which is, again, fucking real graps, you know?
It's actually funnier than that, Monty. What happened was he did multiple promos and they edited that one into the road too and then had to edit it out because that wasn't the intended stipulation. So Jeff had just cut like 5 promos and one of them was like, fuck it, I'll leave if I lose. And they said, that's it, get it there. And they're about to edit it out and scrub it. So that is no longer canon. I'm sorry to report.
I was really wondering if Jeff was going to get retired from television here because You can't pin Mark Briscoe on fucking
He's-
Dynamite.
he's-
Jared, bro.
No.
Absolutely working Wembley, brother. Like, there's no way he's letting them run that show without being on it. He's going to have his theme play at Wembley.
Oh, Jeff
No
Jarrett.
doubt.
Jeff Jarrett's been dying to run
Yeah.
run Wembley for about 30 years now.
Yeah.
I'm on that pre-show. I don't mind. I like the eggs.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett loves the UK, bro. It's, I don't know why,
He does.
but he
It's
just
because
does.
UK loves TNA, bro.
Yeah, it was the only place
they drew.
more
It was
popular
so
over there
weird,
than it was
yeah.
over here.
Absolutely.
All their best houses are in the UK. Like,
He main evented like a huge WCW card over here back in the day as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
So yeah, God bless, man. But this is what we're dealing with, Joe. This real graps even still even without the added stipulation.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
I'm excited for this, man. Definitely.
Ayo, you fired up for this one? Mark Briscoe on your TV.
I would be if I wasn't concerned that Mark was gonna lose. But
That's part of the drama, bro. You know.
No, I can't. I will not accept that outcome. I don't care what shenanigans.
Nah,
go
like,
on.
if he does lose,
It's just not an outcome that I'll accept, bro. Like there's matches where, sure, I would love to see someone win, but if they lose, let's see where it goes. It's not the end of the world, So wrestling doesn't always have to go the way that you want it to go. I will not accept Mark Briscoe losing to Jeff Jarrett today. All right, so I'm not really fired up for the match. And I love Double J. Well, I'm happy he's on television. I'm happy he's still wrestling. But that's not an outcome I'm willing to accept.
Yeah, that's fair. Charlie, quickly before we get out of here, yeah, man, tell us about how fired up you are for this concession. Still,
I'm just
Cool.
excited to
Cool.
see Mark Briscoe wrestling on Dynamite
Yes.
again. Honestly, I don't really care who it's against. I don't really care about stipulations or anything like that. I just like seeing Mark Briscoe wrestle.
can't say I disagree with any of that, to be honest. Fucking love Mark Briscoe, man.
Facts.
I'm sure this will be a fun time, though, man.
Yeah.
And kind of to the contrary of those points, like the worry of Briscoe maybe losing this is only actually a problem for me if he actually does lose. If that makes sense. The possibility of him maybe losing like adds to the drama of it for me. So it's just I'm fired up for it, man. It should be a lot of good. It should be that good wrestling horseshit. Couple super chats before we get out of here, and we're gonna sprint to Dynamite. Bro, $2. Need final countdown for Dragon at Forbidden Door or All In. Been waiting for that ever since he got signed, man. Charlton Spurs $5. CM Punk get ready to choke on Chibata. Bread Club for life. Very aggressive Charlton Spurs. Bam, $5. Charlie, you are breaking my heart. You went from our Elite Law Master to now CMFTR Super Fan, broken heart emotion. All I have is on Purist now. Ayo, hashtag we gone, hashtag Elite forever.
We gone, bro. We might have to look north, man. I can't cap. We might have to look north,
I'm
brother.
literally wearing Elite
Might be
merch.
time
I
to
picked
leave the
this up
territory.
specially.
So everybody can't make it, man. Everybody can't make it. Chuck might have to be left behind.
Spiteful.
Harriet Tubman couldn't lead everybody up north, and neither could Big AO. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus.
All of my tweets.
We're
after
starting
time just
with-
give me bugs, bros. Can't do it anymore.
Right. So we're starting with the Hardys versus the Guns.
Oh,
So that's what we're starting with. So we're going to get out of here and watch that. I'm sure you're all rushing and super excited to get out of here for that one. So everyone, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Appreciate all the super chats. Haven't really got any time for any plugs, although we will be doing the review show tomorrow around about the same time. So please catch us for that. And yeah, man. From myself, Big AO, Joe Hulbert, and Charlie. Thanks for watching and peace.
Peace.